Go back for another episode.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
All right, what is up, fans? We are back for another episode of Combat Deviants. I'm your host, Stephen Rochelle. Obviously, no Eddie tonight. We'll figure out where he's hiding tonight. But kicking things off, going to be joined by BKFC fighter, Mr. Joshua Watson. How you feeling this afternoon, my friend?
Doing all right, feeling good.
Awesome. So, obviously, first and foremost, appreciate the time tonight. I know, we were talking about this before, and it's a little rough when we go air. And you're at your job and things of that nature. So, really appreciate the time that you see.
Yeah.
How excited are you for the fights tonight, man? I know BKFC 35 is going on. There's a bunch of fun fights tonight. How are you feeling about that event?
I mean, I have to ignore it because I'm bartending, and I try to get home without getting any spoilers so that I can watch the card and kind of, see the results that way. Exactly. It's kind of hard when you know exactly who's going to win and what's going to happen. So you just tend to fast forward through the whole entire thing real quick.
This is boring. I don't want to know.
Right.
I get
right.
So
there's a few fights I'm excited to see.
Yeah, like I said, I had Alan on a few weeks ago. I want to see when he gets back in there. I know we had Andy Wynn on. Really looking forward to seeing her go back in there, especially because she's in her backyard there in South Carolina. That should be a fun one. There's a couple fun fights on that card.
Yeah, definitely.
And guys, if you haven't already, head over to BKFC, head over to Fight, whatever. Go grab the app. Make sure you guys are tuning in. If you're not listening to us, make sure you're watching them. That's all I got to say as far as that goes. Now, obviously, The combat sports world has changed a lot over the last 5 years with Dave Feldman bringing bare knuckle boxing into the fold, and we've seen several leagues kind of open up since then. I guess one of the things I've been noticing over the past handful is you're getting a lot of MMA guys who are probably was always more suited towards a striking background getting into BKFC. We just seen Mike Perry come in. There's a lot of rumors swirling around. You never know. We might see Nate Diaz in BKFC in one way, shape, or form. But obviously, the big one with the announcement over the last I think day or so was Deigo Sanchez's fight just got announced. And I know a lot of people are kind of on the fence about Deigo just because of how his UFC career ended. Do you feel like people are warranted when they sit there and say, I think Deigo has CTE, I think he shouldn't be competing at a high level or even have a fighter's license? Do you feel people from the outside looking in really should be throwing that out there in the public realm?
I mean, I think it's a relevant thing because we're talking about it a lot with football, and it's a very, very, very real thing that's getting kind of, I don't know, over
under the rugs.
Yeah, it's just people are they're really, really, really feeding into it. I mean, sure, health and longevity of life, that's the most important thing. But when it comes down to it, it's the warrior mentality. It's one of those things where it's hard. It's hard to walk away from. You can sit there and, as much as Deigo wants to do it, I'm sure every once in a while he's like, probably shouldn't do this. Shit, I say it. I say I probably shouldn't be doing this. I, should be retired. I should be retiring, and after my last fight, I've been telling everybody, I'm like, oh, next fight will be the retirement fight. And then this fight popped up and I'm like, all right, that's not going to be a retirement fight.
Greg Hardy's like, I get to throw hands with a wife beating SOB. Sure. Where do I sign up?
Basically, yeah.
That's one of the. I have never been a fan, of Greg Hardy. Obviously, I'm an Eagles fan. He was a Cowboy. Then when everything comes out, he's basically, he's shunned from the NFL because of his actions. And Dana White kind of throws him a bone. I don't know how
he
you
did.
take that. He kind of gets a second lease on life in combat sports, in my opinion, which I don't think, I mean, some guys feel like, oh, it's unfair where these guys come in. I'm like, they have name value. Like, regardless if he's the worst fighter in the world, whoever he's fighting's got 1,000 more eyes on him or 100,000.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look at CM Punk. Like, it doesn't matter if they're the worst person; they're gonna sell tickets.
I mean, like I was that. But see, I think what they were doing with CM was they're doing it right. They didn't give him a top billing. They didn't give him this big fight or anything like that. I mean, obviously his skill set showed where he was at. Period. When everything came down to it, but I don't think he handled. Phil or CM, however you want to refer to him, I don't think he handled that situation wrong. I think for one of the few times that he does do it, I think he did it right.
Yep. Yeah. No. I mean, I don't blame him. Like like if you got a name, use your name.
Give you those contracts, and they're favorable to you. Like, listen, it's hard for me to sit there and tell. A professional athlete, like, maybe you should have, like, listen, you guys know your bodies better than we do. You know what's going on. When it comes to that, what dangers you are getting yourselves into. Obviously, when you sign the fight contract, you know what's going on. I really don't. I think the only people that should really have a say in that, and when a fighter does that, is coaches, family, friends, things of that nature. I really don't think. I mean, fans should have their suggestions. I really I thought Mauricio Shogun Rua was done 3 years ago, and he still wanted to put it on, 5-6 more fights after that. But it was just one of those things. We just seen him retire, and it's like we don't know if he's still the same guy that he was when he was 25 or whatever like that. But
I mean, Shogun never really took off after he went from Pride to UFC. With like,
I think he would have really excelled in a place where you could have done a lot more things with the kicks. I think that's what made him so different in Pride.
But also the fact that we're talking about USADA. The day, if you look at it, the day when Pride went under. And then you fast forward to the card that had a shit ton of the Pride guys on it. Dan Henderson, Anderson Silva. I think they fought each other. Shogun. And there was like 2 or 3 other. The only people that went directly from Pride to UFC was Crow Cop and Rampage Jackson. Yeah. Everybody else
it took them a while to come over. Yeah.
18 months.
Or more, because some guys went to Strikeforce, and then we had to wait.
Right, but the thing is, though, is a lot of those PEDs take 18 months to clear the system. And and when you get in the USADA pool, like when you're testing ahead of time and you're not competing, you can essentially fail the test, and they're gonna be like, you failed. And as long as you're progressively failing less, there, you're good with it. By the time you reach your fight, you're clean. You know what I'm saying? Like that was that one with John Jones, where it was like 2 nano whatever. It was like the size of like a penny in a swimming pool. Like, it was so small, like it was not even traceable, because he progressively worked himself down from when he, failed, essentially. So if you look at, again, all those guys that came over from Pride, it was literally like 18 months of a window before they started fighting for the UFC. And I think that there's something to that. And the fact that almost all of them lost their opening fights.
I think the only one that didn't was
Anderson Silva.
Rampage.
Well,
and I think it was
Rampage.
Minotauro Nogueira, wasn't it?
Who?
One is the Minotauro Nogueira. The other.
Possibly, but the other one, I think, because I want to say that was the card when Anderson Silva fought Dan Henderson. Dan Henderson lost, Anderson Silva won. I mean, one of them has to win. So, but I think
Anderson was already, by the time that fight occurred.
Sorry, yes. He'd already been there. My bad.
But I think Dan was one of the guys. I think it was more. I don't think it was PED. I think it was when that TRT era kind of popped up.
Still TRT.
Still the same difference. Still the same difference.
Right. It is and it isn't, like, I mean, it doesn't take 18 months for your testosterone levels to drop.
Now, obviously, performance enhancing drugs will always play a part in combat sports in one way, shape, or form. Do you think that, like, we'll see a day and age where we just see, you've seen fans talk about it, people talking, like, you just have a juice division. Like, here you guys, here's a whole division for you guys. You guys have fun.
I mean, I think that the funny part is that I don't see, there's not a whole lot of benefit to it when you're dealing. I mean, there's small benefits in it when you're doing it for.
I think a lot when I talk to a lot of guys, that I don't talk publicly about it. When I talk to them about it,
Yep.
what do you get out of it? What are you doing? Why you do it? He's like, it's recovery, man. He's like, you can recover.
It's recovery. Yeah, no, it's purely it's because like you're not, because when you think in your head about like PEDs and essentially steroids, you're thinking about guys getting jacked. Well, those guys that have that massive amount of muscle, they have no gas.
It's no function.
No function. No, not at all, So, I mean, it's not practical. So, like, that's why, like, case in point, I mean, I don't know what it is, but I mean, Mario Puchinowski. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that dexterity. Look at that flexibility.
Yeah,
and I mean, he's got
two fights in combat sports, did he not?
I think he's gotten more than 2.
Oh, okay.
I
remember early on, but then it was just like after he.
I think he fought a few months ago.
I
think he fought a few months ago, and I think he's like 46, 47. Like he's pushing 50 years old.
All right, if you had to mark the Tom Brady, not wins and losses, just the longevity of combat sports, who was that guy you would put that on?
Oh, come on. I'm not good at thinking on my feet like that.
I mean, when I'm thinking of that, it's Jeremy Horn.
Yeah.
It's hard for a lot of guys for anyone to get to 100 fights. That's all I got to say.
True. But I mean, at the same time, though, how many fights did he have that were unsanctioned? That was every other weekend that, like essentially, let's be realistic. Sean Strickland fights every other day. Sean Strickland fights harder and more gritty than most people spar. He literally goes to the gym and gets into a fist fight multiple times a week. Who the fuck spars 2 days out before a fight?
No one really.
Most
guys just get a sweat up to kind of get it going,
Sean Strickland does. And I mean, it's not like, oh, let me just move around. He went in there and was banging. He takes a fight on super short notice and still goes and doesn't even like treat his body properly and just goes in there and just, lets it go. So I mean, like, you gotta look, and it's the same thing if you look at Thai boxers, like they're fighting every single weekend. Like if you fight every single weekend, sure, you can rack up a shit ton of things. If you're a skilled person and you're fighting unsanctioned events and you're just beating the brakes off of just anybody who's willing to get in there with you, how many people have a loss to Horn who probably have no more than 3 fights total?
There's probably more than 20. I'll give you that.
Right.
There's probably more than 20.
Right. So I mean,
I remember watching early DVDs. I'm like, why is he fighting what looks to be like Grandpa Joe over there?
Yeah, and again, nothing against him at all.
No,
it's just but I mean, there's a way to get to 100 fights, and that's how you do it.
I think the other one is our BKFC guy. Was it Tony Kryptonite Lopez? He's almost there.
Yeah,
that's another one.
Yeah, he's he's
fighting just about anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, I mean, shit. I almost fought him on 2-day notice a few years ago. My opponent backed out, and this fight was in Maine, and they almost flew him out from California, literally on 2-day notice. It fell through, but I mean,
it's great to have guys like that. I mean, he may not be the top of the mountain type guy, but he's always going to give you a performance. He's always going to give you a fight, and it's always going to show up. Guys in the sport like that.
Yeah, he's always going to show up. He's not going to take an L for money. He actually goes out there and tries to win every single time.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that because I don't know if you've seen, but Luke Rockhold came out and he just basically said that he basically got himself released from the UFC because he wants to go and hunt the boxing promoter Jake Paul now.
Yeah.
And he basically says his complete disdain for him, for what he does. A lot of people feel Jake has in his first handful of fights paid to have some decisions done. Do you feel, from what you've seen, is that true, or do you feel like people are just reading more into it?
I mean, I would hope that Woodley would have shown up a whole lot harder. You know what I'm saying?
The second fight, yeah, I agree.
When I'm watching,
I felt was good, but then the second time it was just like short notice. And then I mean, I don't know if it's just me not caring for Jake or what he's doing or how he does it, but do you feel like he's beating up like on old UFC welterweights that aren't even strikers? Like, all right, you knock out Askren, he basically had one hit. You stop Tyron Woodley, who towards the end of his career really wasn't doing much
at all. And when he was both of those guys are winning with wrestling, not with striking.
Exactly. Like Tyron wasn't the guy that won the title. He wasn't the guy that was on the upward swing to win the title. He's right. Regardless,
definitely on the down. I mean, he got released.
Fight. And then you see the Anderson Silva fight in a lot.
Anderson Silva one's the one that bummed me out. That was the one I really was like, here we go. Like, Anderson Silva's going to do it.
But here, I had kind of retarded expectations for it just because of I'm like, I know he's 50. Like, and we're not getting the Anderson Silva that we've seen absolutely obliterate Chris Lieben in less than 2 minutes.
Oh, no.
We weren't going to get that.
You're getting the fifth 48 or whatever year old Anderson Silva. Definitely. But after his last boxing match, or his two last boxing matches.
Chavez Jr., everyone kind of felt like, hey, well, maybe Anderson can do this.
Right. Exactly.
And
I think we
all bought into the fool's gold.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with it is that nobody really addresses the weight difference. He's fighting all these welterweights.
He walks around at basically what MMA equivalent is to 205. So regardless if you call cruiserweight or whatever, you're 200 pounds fighting guys that typically fight at 170 pounds. Even Anderson Silva was like, all right, that's a fight, but that's in a guy that's in a higher weight division, but that's still
which after like in the last 2 or 3 times he didn't even have success. He had success early in his career when he would fight 205, but later on he didn't have that success.
Bonner was the key one, right?
Bonner, and then he lost to Cormier. He lost to another one that was like kind of shocking. Like, oh, he should have won that one, but
yeah, that's when everyone kind of knew. Like, all right, Anderson's kind of he's lost the shine that he once had,
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But
for a period of time, what was it from like 07 to like 2012? He was
unstoppable. Unstoppable.
You couldn't get near him.
Nope.
I remember being at UFC 101 in utter disbelief that Forrest Griffin lost that fight. I'm like, that was a quick stoppage. I got home like, wait a minute. No, he was out.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when you're watching it from the seats, you can't see it.
Yeah. I mean, well, I didn't have good seats either, so yeah, it was rough. I even tried to watch in the replay. No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
it just wasn't.
I think one of the funniest ones. Was Forrest was getting interviewed, and they were like, "Oh, Forrest, I heard you're next up for John Jones," and he's like, "What? Are you crazy me? Did you see how Anderson Silva picked me apart?" He goes, "Why the fuck would I even think about fighting John Jones?"
Yeah, listen. I think people tend to forget how important Forrest was to not only the start of MMA, but just bringing in some of that other things, like that fun stuff, that easygoing mentality, that fun talk. And he just made things so lighthearted. It made things easy for a lot of things.
He's lighthearted, and he also just takes. I mean, most of the stuff like he's serious, but he's like kind of not serious about it. Like I mean. Case of, like, I used to actually help him for his training camps out here. I would actually be one of his training partners, and him and I wouldn't, I'm had no position to talk shit to him, but he would just talk shit nonstop, just Like one of the things I was doing, because I used to fight 185, 205, and I tried to get down to 185. And one of the things I would do is like I had a 3/4 scuba suit, and I'd do conditioning classes wearing it, and it was way, way, way too small. So it was just full body restriction, and I'd lose like fucking 10 pounds in water weight just doing a half-hour class. And he's just like, "That's fucking retarded." He's like, "Good for you. You're training to be slow, fucking smart. You're an idiot." Why? Like, just the whole time, like 30 minutes of me training and him just making fun of me, talking shit. And I'm like, "Yeah, thanks."
I could imagine him before he got to the UFC, because what was he, a state trooper?
State trooper.
I can imagine him. Oh my god!
Yeah, I think he was probably the biggest dickhead.
Not even in the worst way, just the insufferable smartass that can that has to say something.
Yep. Yeah. I think there was another good story. He said, like, after he was on The Ultimate Fighter and after the finale tour, he was like a name, but he still didn't feel he was a name yet. And like somebody like cut him off, and there was like a road rage incident or whatever. And like he pulled over, jumped out of the car, and the guy's like, "Oh my God, it's Forrest Griffin," and started just riding the shit out of his nuts. And it went from like almost being a fight to this guy like sucking his dick, like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." And he's like, "No, I want to fight you." He's like, "No, we're not fighting. You're Forrest Griffin."
Oh man, and now he's he's catching people from being slapped before they hit the ground. Oh,
yeah, I don't even tune into that shit.
Oh, I don't either. I think, listen, me and you, dude, isn't this stuff we did when we were like at the lunch in high school? Oh, let's have a slap boxing competition.
Kinda. No, it was what I did as a freshman in college, drinking. Because remember when like CKY videos came out and everybody just and Jackass and everybody just in the group drinking, slapping each other? That's when I did it. And we never did it in the sense to try to knock somebody out. Like, you're just handing out concussions. Like, what the like, here we are. On one hand, we just got done talking.
Concussions without any medical care for your athletes is beyond me.
We literally just got done talking about CTE, and then it's like, oh, because we care so much about people's brains, we can't be having injuries. Let's slap each other to the point of knocking each other unconscious. Makes no sense.
The other side of that is we just seen how the UFC does not care about their athletes. Doesn't matter how big or how small. Because look what just happened with Francis Ngannou. He asked for 3 specific things. It had nothing to do with the money, the contract, or anything. Asked for 3. Actually, let me pull this one up. He asked for 3 specific things. They wanted sponsors. He wanted healthcare, and he wanted the fighters to have representation when they have it.
Okay, but you just said it had nothing to do with money. But it does have everything to do with money. The in-cage sponsors, I mean, I get it. Ever since they took away the banners and being able to put logos on the shorts and their stupid fucking payment tiers.
You know that. You're this big company. You could sit there and say, guess what? You have a pick between sponsor A, B, C, and D. These are the ones you could put on your shorts, your shirts, whatever. Here's the numbers. Have your representation guys reach out to them and work out a deal.
But I mean, at the same time, though,
why they did it. Anyone remembers the the incident that really caused this was UFC 133.
What was it?
In the thong incident.
Everyone
forgets about that.
I don't think that was the main reason, but I mean, still, it irritated the fuck out of him.
Public reason that Dana and Zuffa at the time could get behind and say, "Listen, this is why we're going to be doing uniforms from now on."
Yeah, but I mean, still though, it's
like more money, but I still think the UFC can fix that themselves.
And on the sponsorship parts, like the one that always stands out to me, that is really like prevalent he fought Vanderlei and lost like in a moment. He threw the inside kick and he got like knocked out. He's from The Ultimate Fighter, bald guy, Keith Jardine. So Jardine, I think he didn't even get paid $10,000 for that fight, right? He made, I think, $130,000 in sponsors.
Because he had a good sponsorship,
He had a great management team. So I mean, that's a huge part, like in capitalizing on sponsors. So I mean, I get it, but again, like a moment ago, you said that his 3 wants had nothing to do with money. That has everything to do with money.
The other ones, it's about money, but it wasn't about money. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, though, is that
how everything gets divvied.
The medical insurance one. Here's the thing. Hey, you just got offered $8 million to fight John Jones. You can afford fucking
but it wasn't about
PPO.
him, it was about everyone. That's what I think it is.
But the thing is, though, is that everybody does have insurance. When you're contracted under the UFC, you have insurance. If you're contracted through the
contract, only if you're in camp with
if you're contracted. If you're not contracted, you don't get anything. Like if you are signed and you're on the roster to the UFC, you have insurance. Like if you, case in point, one of the guys at my gym, he went through Contender Series, got signed. Before he even had a regular fight, he got injured. I think he tore his meniscus or his ACL or something. He has basically 1 year from his signing of contract to have a fight. And then basically your contract's up because you haven't fought in that 1 year. But everything for medicals is covered. All of his UFC has covered his surgery, covered his rehab. Especially if you live in Vegas, which Nagano's out here, you go to the PI and you get the best physical therapy you could ever get. You can literally get a massage and treatment every single day. You're the champion. You can get way more than that. So people do have insurance, but like if you want to go and get like a simple little thing done, like I'm sick or something, and you have to go to like urgent care. Yeah, okay, you're paying that one. But at the same time, Francis, he's the one getting paid a shit ton of money. It's like you're not the person to have that argument, in my opinion.
And I'm not discussion with, and he's the only one that can make the discussion that being had for all of us to talk about it.
No, because look what happened. He obviously can't make that discussion. He got let go. So that discussion he couldn't make, because he felt that he was the one to be able to have that discussion because he felt untouchable, which obviously he is. He's shit for pay-per-views. He's not marketable.
Same thing.
Huh?
Wait, the Connor's contract's up and he does the same thing.
But Connor brings in the money. Connor is the person that could do that. He is the person that could go, hey, we need to start doing this. And then back to what we were talking about before, as much as, the Paul brothers are a pain in the ass, these are some of the things that they're advocating towards, Well,
it's one of the things why, like I said, like as much as I hate aspects of him, I don't have a problem with him making himself out of basically nothing.
Right. And that.
Go ahead.
Right, and granted, if you have money and you have an athletic bone in your body, you have that ability to, hey, I don't have to work. All I'm gonna do is train. I can afford the best trainers. You have that ability to become that good, But the part that I was looking at is, you don't really hear too many people in the boxing community bitching about him. Only because, let's be honest, he made boxing popular again.
It was really
nobody.
Cool. People don't
nobody gave too much.
Has come to dying over the last 20 years. They're so starved for stars and superstars and just people to be invested in boxing again the way that it was 30 years ago
when there was no MMA. But yeah.
There was no competition. I think that's the big thing that's changed in combat sports is mixed martial arts, is boxing, is all of these promotions that are doing great things. The Invictus of the world, the UFCs of the world, ONE FC, Bellator MMA, like you have all of these big promotions now.
Right.
What happened to boxing?
It just
because they play this politics with the belts over the last 30 years, and no one fights nobody, and I'm holding this belt, and I'm not staying over here, and I'm not working with this promoter. This is what I have prayed does not happen to MMA. Because yes, we do want to see the best fighters in the world fight the best fighters and things of that nature. But I don't want to see this whole thing where this person has this belt, they work with this promoter, and that's the only way this fight's going to happen is if this promoter makes the money. Yeah. No.
I mean, if you think of it, they can't even do that because you're not even talking promoters because UFC doesn't use promoters. Essentially, the promoter is UFC, and you're contracted to that said promoter, so they can't just jump ship and go train because on top of you can't just quit. You have non-compete clauses. They can't just go, I'm done with you guys, I'm going to go here. You have to ask permission to be let go and basically okay to look for money elsewhere. So it's different because boxing it isn't an organization. It's not like one thing. It's it's right.
WBC, WBO, IBBO. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't know any of that shit. Like,
exactly.
but I'm saying that
we're trying to sit there and decipher who's the heavyweight champion, the middleweight. We can't.
Right.
There's 4 different title holders in that weight class.
Yeah, but it's still though. You gotta say though, the Paul brothers have rejuvenated that, and they've made it relevant again. And
yeah, is it? They just announced Jake's fighting Fury's brother now. So.
Yep. Again, but that one fell through once already. We'll see.
Yeah, but I think from the way it sounds, is like they got their T's crossed, their I's dotted, and everything looks to be good to go this time.
Yeah.
We'll
see.
Passports.
Well, that was the one. That was the fight when. That was the fight when Woodley took it on short notice.
Yeah. I still don't like what Jake did to Rockman's kid. I'm still not happy about that. I think
I don't know.
Was a complete cop out.
I don't know about this.
All right, so
what is it?
Remember there was a weight issue with that one, right?
No, I have no idea.
He came in 1.25 pounds over, and they killed the fight. Like, wait, why didn't you just take percentage of his purse like it's contracted to do just about every fighter?
Right.
Oh, I forgot. That's an actual boxer who was actually a 200-pound fighter. I got it now.
Right. Exactly. And he has 1.25 pound advantage now.
I would love for him to shut me up and just put one of these guys out. Fine. I can't say nothing no more.
Right.
But
the other part I was going to say when we were talking about that, there's been times when Woodley had him and he didn't put the pressure on it.
Yeah.
And that's the part that makes it look like it's totally fixed is the fact of same thing when Mayweather fought the other brother. He clipped him and had him on weak legs. What did he do? He clinched him and held him up. You know what I mean? Like, sorry,
most
but that's
fighters push off and you go to town.
Right. Especially for the fact that fight, you could only win by knockout. There was no decision. There was no anything. The only way you could fight was knocking the other person out. So why was he not headhunting? He had him wobbly and he grabbed him and clinched with him and let him recover.
It's one of these
things
why I think a lot of fans gotten away from boxing. Why you've seen a lot more fans over the last 20 years go to combat sports, go to sport jiu-jitsu, etc. Because you see fighters going for the kill instead of playing safe and doing things of that nature. Where in boxing you clinch up. In mixed martial arts, we call it the lay and pray. So like there's aspects to it in each sport, but I think boxing is it's because it's so one-dimensional that you can do things of that nature where you can say like, hey, is that fixed? Now, obviously, MMA has a problem because of the James Krause situation in betting, but I still don't feel there was any fixing of fights. I think it just basically equates to insider trading.
I mean, if you're a coach or anybody in a camp and you're betting against your guy, that to me is shady.
That's fair.
If you're betting on your guy, shit. If I have somebody and we feel good about my camp and it's like, well, hey, we're all putting all of our money on it. Hell yeah, I'm going to put money on myself. Why the fuck would I not want to put money on myself to get money on top of my money?
Now,
but for the fact of
right, we've seen it a lot over the last few years where athletes and or coaches are losing jobs, seasons on their contracts, etc., for betting on themselves. Now, do
I
you
think
think
that's
there has to
stupid.
be
You should always bet on
some
yourself.
line drawn somewhere, or do these guys just need to pay Grandpa, Uncle John over here to go place a bet for them?
I mean, right, exactly. I mean, that's what you have to do. But I don't know. I think everybody should be able to bet on themselves. You should be. I don't see anything wrong with that. You should be able to
If
be
you're upfront
confident.
and hey, you go, I'll go. If you have to make it so these guys have to go right to the federal government to place their bet, then let the athlete, coach, whatever, do that. I don't think it's fair that all of us, we can bet on, prop bets for this, that, and the third from everything else in between. And the actual athletes who, granted, all right, they're able to bet on a level that we can only imagine, right?
Right.
Calvin Ridley was probably betting $1,000 per game, right?
Right.
When we're sitting there damn, I wish I could bet much.
Oh yeah.
But it's one of these things where it's should he been punished for a whole year because he betted on himself? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't think people should be punished for that.
Where, another coach was either fired, suspended, or whatever because he bet on his teams. What are we talking about?
Right. Again, that just shows ultimate confidence.
I do believe that's ultimate confidence, but I also think there's a somewhere where everyone can find the middle ground and you don't feel like you're watching something that's staged, that's scripted, etc. I get that. I don't, and I still to this day we still hold Pete Rose as the betting example,
which is stupid.
It's still to this day he's another one of those guys. I bet for my own team. Well, we don't 100% know that because because of how technology was back then. We don't know what's what.
Right.
But
and also that was he might have bet on his team that one time. This guy's
not a Hall of Famer. Are we going to do that with these guys too?
Right. So, exactly.
It starts a slippery slope. Granted, we're already on a slippery slope because betting has been so taboo over the last 20, 30 years that it's become something else over the last 10.
Right.
Between fantasy sports, prop betting, and literally you can bet on anything now.
Yeah.
So why is it we're punishing other people for doing something we could do freely now? If it's free, if it's something you could do in your state, it should be something you should be allowed to do, regardless if you're Calvin Ridley, the football player, if you're if you're Doug Peterson, the head coach of anyone. I don't see it. Anyone from the training staff, whatever. I don't see why they should be held to another level that we are when it comes
as long as they're betting on their team versus against.
Yes, it's not like you're trying to all right, it's like the physical trainer knows that X, Y, and Z player are hurt. Well, you know what?
Right.
You place $50 on
right.
That is something I would say. No, you can't do that.
That's inside. That's that whole insider trading kind of thing, like you were talking about.
Yeah, and I think that's where James Krause completely pushed the envelope way too far.
Yep.
To the point where he was putting it out for everyone to see and hear. And I think that's what more got him in trouble. I don't feel like anyone was throwing fights or anything like that. I just felt he was just being a supreme douche and just saying, ain't nobody gonna touch me. And now he's wound up with mud in his face, so to speak.
Man, yeah.
But one or two more questions, and we'll let you go upon your way. Obviously, the big fight, you're already sitting there saying, you question yourself sometimes. What made you take this fight with Mr. Hardy?
The opportunity. The opportunity to do something big, it's by far the biggest fight of my career.
Knuckle Mania, big event. Knuckle Mania is a big event.
Big event. Yep. I mean, the event's a bonus. It had the fight come up on a different card. The card wasn't the bearing of me to do it. It was more so the opponent, the opportunity. I never really had that big fight. I'm pushing the end of my career. Like I said, I was gonna plan on my next fight being a retirement fight. But that's with like, basically that being said, like I want bare knuckle needs to get passed and legalized in Las Vegas or back home where I'm from in New England. It's you can do it in New Hampshire and I think Vermont, but either Maine or Massachusetts I need it done in, because I want to retire in front of friends and family. I don't I have people coming
You
up.
don't want to have a fight in Miami and that be your last fight, and like you have people in your back. Like I'm not sitting there. I'm not hiring buses to go all the way down to Miami so everyone can watch you retire.
Look, when after taking a few years off, well, not even that. It was still in the prime of my career. I fought in Portland, Maine, where I'm from, and I sold physically $17,000 worth of tickets. Marcus Davis was on the same card as me. He sold 4,000. Okay, this is Marcus Davis after he was in the UFC. When he hit up the promoter saying he needed more front row tickets, he said, "Sorry, Josh has them all." He got one side, I got the other three. And he's like, "Oh, can you give me his number? I'll call him and ask him if I can get to." And he goes, "No, I've already got the money. He's already sold them all. They're sold out." Like, and that was like 3 weeks before the fight happened. So like, I have a humongous, huge fan base back in Maine. Like, it's stupid. So I want to end my career in front of friends and family, and ideally it would be in Maine. But if it ends up being in Las Vegas, it's all the same. But it was funny because I went to the tryouts that were here in Vegas a month ago now. And I was talking to Nate Shook and Dave Feldman. I was like, once that gets leaked, once we can go someplace, I'm like, I want to have my retirement fight. Like basically I was saying like, I got one more in me. Like, let's just do it. Like, but I'm just going to wait until this comes. So keep me posted when you get something passed so that I know, like, going forward, like when that's going to happen. And, then I got the phone call for this.
You're taking the big fight now, and then you're going to take some more time off. Hopefully Dave and Nate can talk to a few more of these athletic commissions and get you situated in your home state. I mean, that's what I would want to do too.
Yeah, no, I mean that would be huge, and and it's funny because we talked about that slap bullshit earlier. Like that's sanctioned now. You can sit there and hit open hand, no gloves, a defenseless opponent who's just standing there getting hit. How can you have that yet say no to boxing without gloves on? Like it's stupid.
Money, the end.
Right,
Dana has money. The end.
But go back 30 years ago, Dana White was getting railroaded by boxing because he couldn't get MMA sanctioned because boxing, they had all the money and they were saying no. So he's a fucking hypocrite because he's doing what happened to him. Like completely. It's fully being a hypocrite. I mean, I'm sorry, but
but Dana's been a hypocrite in a lot of situations. Like I do give Dana a lot of love for a lot of things he did.
Of
MMA,
course.
the UFC, etc., would not be where it is now if Dana wasn't there. Not to sit there and say
I agree,
but they needed him.
I agree. Right? No, I completely agree with you.
But I
it's
feel
just the
over
fact
the last 5 years or so, they've been dropping the ball in a lot of things.
Yeah, I just think that he, getting it sanctioned in Las Vegas does nothing.
I still think
getting it sanctioned out here does nothing for the sales.
I didn't think anyone would realize how much we would miss Lorenzo Fertitta. Point blank and period.
Yeah. Hey, I only got 3% left on my battery. What's your last question?
I was literally the next thing I was going to say is that as we close this one off, Josh, throw the microphone over to you. And then we'd like to thank training partners, teammates, shoot out the social media sites, any sponsors you have, anything like that you're doing outside the cage. You want to let the people know? The time is yours, my friend.
Well, I mean, still looking for sponsors. You can hit me up on social media. No, I just want to thank everybody who has my back. Like I do this because, like most of us, we're sick in the head and we get enjoyment out of it. But a lot that I do is for the fans, when I have a lot of people telling me they want to see me in there and pushing for me to fight. And everybody gets, when I post something and it gets over 200 shares overnight, that just, it makes me feel loved. And, I always say I do it for my fans, because I don't think that I would be still pushing it if it wasn't for that. I'm a showman, I want to go out there and I want to put on a show and I want to make everybody happy. But yeah, I just want to that. And then I guess one of the bigger ones I want to thank, I've never been able to publicly thank, is Christine Ferreira. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be even in the BKFC. I wouldn't have my management, wouldn't have my coach, wouldn't have anything. Being hooked up with her, friends with her for years now. And after she got in, I kept bothering her, and she put me in contact with the coach, Chris. And, him and I have been working together, and, she shared her management information with me. Jules helped me get in, so I owe my BKFC career to Christine.
She's definitely one of my favorites, Josh. She's one of the, when I started my other showcase at Submission, she was always one of my regulars from when she was doing Lion Fight, when she was doing Invicta, before she became the world champion of BKFC. So definitely, right. I love to hear that she still has that thing where she always cares about people.
Oh yeah, she does.
So
yeah.
Obviously she hasn't talked to me in a while. I had Helen Peralta on, and she didn't like that too much. So she hasn't talked to me in a little bit. Still got nothing but love for her. Don't blame her for being upset about it. I still got love for her. But other than that, Josh, appreciate the time. Best of skill in the fight. Hopefully we can get you help you link you up with some more sponsors, and
that'd be nice.
Hopefully we can get that sanction there in Maine, and we can get you your retirement fight in your backyard, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks for the time.
Anytime, Josh. You have a good one.
All
right, everyone. That was Josh Watson, BKFC Heavyweight. He's going to be fighting, Mr. Hardy at Knuckle Mania 3. That should be a fun fight. Like I said, always fun talking to these athletes, and it's definitely cool to catch up with Josh, see what's going on with him. And other than that, this will wrap up the Josh Watson interview. I'll real quick get some quick words from our sponsors, and I'll be right back to wrap it up. And we'll get moving on to another interview for tonight. But with that being said, hold on a second, guys.
Football is back, baby, and our new sponsor, True Classic, wants you to look and feel your best even after a couple of brewskis, or going full force on your fantasy football draft. Sure, it's football season, but it's also butt-to-couch season. Luckily, True Classic has the absolute best-fitting clothing a man can buy. Snug in the arms and chest with a little extra space in the torso, their t-shirts are designed to keep you cozy and highlight your best assets no matter what you're up to. So if your special someone is upset that you're watching football all day, at least you can look good doing it. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men find the perfect fit at an affordable price. Our listeners get access to the best deal they offer. For a limited time only, get 25% off with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY at TrueClassic.com. Almost all men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six-packs, but most of us aren't packing anything but a few beers. Fellas, you are wearing the wrong clothes. True Classic tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt you can always confidently throw on. It's about time to get your fit together, so upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic and get 25% off at TrueClassic.com with promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. Free shipping included on purchases over $100. That's 25% off at TrueClassic.com with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. If there's one bet you should make this football season, it's on True Classic. True Classic, look good, feel good.
And feel good. But that being said, guys, wrapping it up for episode 17, should be back. middle of the next hour with Roberto Duran Jr. I'm going to wrap this one up. We will see you guys next week. Same time, same place. Catch you later, guys.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.